it is the time to be planting bare root roses, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to plant them. Right, so inside your box you will get the David Austin planting guide, which has got all the information you need to know about what to do with your bare root. You also get your receipt, and then you get your bare root. Now these are biodegradable bags, and then this is what your bare root will look like. And the first thing we need to do is soak it in a bucket of water, which I'm going to show you how to do that. I've actually already got one in a bucket here because I've just put this one in here. So this is the second rose that I'm adding. That one's going to go in a pot. You can squeeze a couple in a bucket, that's absolutely fine. And they just need to soak for a couple of hours before you plant them. So make sure that the roots are submerged and that they have a really good soak. Now when they arrive, if you're not ready to plant them, they can stay in the box or in the packaging for up to 2 weeks. So if you're buying them as a gift, or perhaps you're just not quite ready to plant them, they can stay in the bag. But then when they come out, they will need soaking. You will also need to get yourself some mycorrhizal fungi. It's kind of like granules that you sprinkle on. One packet will do you 3 roses, and you can just add that on onto your order on David Austin. If you've already got your rose and you haven't thought about that and you need it quickly, you can also just get it on Amazon, but it really helps the rose to root, and I think it's a really important step. Now I'm going to talk you through what the planting guide tells you. So I've got one that's going to go in a pot. You're going to need a nice big pot, and then I've got one that is going in the border. The instructions are so easy to follow. Literally everything you need is in here. So yeah, the first thing it tells you to do is soak them for a minimum of 2 hours. I have left them overnight before and they were fine. Then you need to be digging your hole. Then it tells you and explains to you the position that the rose needs to be in. So you can see from this picture that if you were to balance a bamboo cane across your hole, you can see where the root is and how little amount of stem has to go at that level. So that's a really good guide, and that's actually exactly how I had planted mine before. And then I always do add well-rotted manure to my planting hole as well, and it does recommend that you do that. It gives you a rough idea of how big your rose is going to get. So year 1 it will be quite small, year 2 it will be a bit bigger, year 3 it will be a really good size. Just tells you about feeding, and actually there is the food in here that I actually use, which is this one. It's a once a year food. It's amazing. So if you haven't bought a rose yet, definitely add that to your basket because it's fantastic. It's just once a year, really, really easy. It then gives you tips on pruning. So like I said, that has got everything that you need to know about your new rose. Planting a bare root rose. So it is the perfect time to be planting bare roots in November through to late winter. And when they arrive, they will come looking like this. Now, if you're not ready to plant them straight away, you can keep them in the packaging for up to 2 weeks. But when you are ready to plant, you need to soak your bare root in a bucket of water for at least a couple of hours to help to rehydrate it and get it ready for planting. Now, this rose I'm going to be planting into a container, but they can go straight into the border. So there's a couple of things that you need to think about. So as you can see, the root system of this rose is pretty big. So you're going to need to find a suitable pot. This one that I've got here is about 40 centimetres. And when you're putting it in a pot, you don't want to be squashing all of this root system to try and fit it in a pot. You're going to need a big enough pot that this rose is going to thrive and have plenty of space. So it will be okay in this pot, probably for a couple of years, and then I will decide whether I'm going to put it in the border or perhaps invest in a bigger pot. But for next year, it will be absolutely fine in there. So that's what your bare root looks like. You then want to buy yourself some mycorrhizal fungi. You can get this
from your rose supplier. So this is a David Austin one. And this one packet will treat 3 roses. And you're going to sprinkle this on the root system. It just helps it to root, helps it to retain nutrients and water, and it is a really good idea to get yourself some of this. If you haven't ordered it with your rose, you can get it on Amazon. But definitely there is science behind this. It 100% will benefit your rose, so don't skip that stage. I've then got a pot here mixed with a bit of garden soil, a bit of peat-free compost, and I am then going to add in some organic matter. So for me this year, the organic matter that I am using is by BioBloom, and it is a really good quality organic matter. I used it in the garden in the spring, and that contains lots of nutrients, which is ideal for your rose. Now, when you get your rose, if you get it from David Austin, it comes with a brilliant planting guide which shows you exactly how to plant it. So you just want to follow the instructions and make sure that you're not planting it too deep. You can see where you need to be planting it. You can see the level, and you just want to make sure that the soil goes in all around the rose really nicely, that you're firming it in so there's no air pockets, and then that is it. You just leave it and wait until spring. So I am gonna pot this one up now, and I can't wait. So this variety is Emma Bridgewater, and she is going to be in the container garden for 2025.
My bare root had actually soaked overnight, but just a couple of hours is enough. Now, I actually find it better when you're planting in a container to remove most of the soil before you start planting, because it's really hard to dig a hole big enough. Then comes your mycorrhizal fungi, and you just want to sprinkle it over the roots. Now, in my blue bucket here, I've got some organic matter, which is the BioBloom mulch. It's really important when you're planting a rose that you're using good quality soil and compost, and that you're adding in organic matter. You can just buy a bag of well-rotted horse manure from the garden centre. It will really, really help your rose. And then in the grey bucket, I've got a mixture of compost and just garden soil, which is always what I like to add to my containers. So as I'm filling up the pot, I'm sort of adding a mixture of the soil mix and the manure as well, just to make sure that it's got lots in. Then I'm using my fingers to make sure all of the air pockets have gone. Keep firming it in. You want to keep topping it up until you get to that level where you can see that the base of the stem is level with the soil. So you don't want to be burying a lot of the rose stem. Then you just want to make sure that it is really well firmed in, a final topping of the well-rotted manure for me, and then make sure that you give it a really good drink.